Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nur Hadi Hilmi bin Anwar. Here I will present on my final year project 2, which is layout of oil quality control lab at company in Kapar, Klang. First, let me thank to my person in charge of this project, which is Dr. Aziati Ismail as my supervisor, and I are Dr. Nur Azlina Muhammad Saleh as my CO supervisor for their fully guidance. Okay, now I will proceed on the introduction of the project. Firstly, the project was done at the Oil Quality Control Lab at Sumber Petroleum Cemerlang Company at Kapar, Klang. The lab basic operation is doing the inspection on the oil quality. This quality control lab is important as it providing the result for the production line to proceed their work. The improvement in work efficiency of the quality control staff is the top priority for this project. The layout of the lab needs some improvement and changes. Applying Kaizen and lean management as the method for waste elimination. And lastly, the project sustainability are focused on all aspects toward environmental and economical and social. These are some literature review for the project. Kaizen, according to Malik and Yuzan, it represents the daily challenges that occur in the workplace and how the struggle are conquered. While for the lean concept, the implementation of 5S is the core for increased efficiency, standardization of practice, improved safety, reduced cycle time, customer satisfaction, and personal flexibility. For 5Y analysis, the most basic reason for undesirable condition or problem according to Wilson is the root cause. If the true cause of the problem is not discovered, one is only treating the symptom and the problem will remain. And lastly is spaghetti diagram. The spaghetti diagram result can be used to identify inefficient movement and area to reduce the number of employees and changes the work organization or workstation layout. Now I will explain on the problem statement. For the first one, taking a lot of time in getting the result for the production to proceed. The second problem is improper arrangement of the apparatus and machine. The third one is the waste is not properly organized. And lastly, hard in finding the item. These are two objectives of the project, which is to improve and to identify. For further explanation, the first objective is to reduce the movement of quality control staff for improving their work efficiency by layout of all quality control lab. And the second one is to determine and identify all type of waste exist in the lab. Proceed to methodology used for the project. First is the company visit. The project observation was done through the 2 weeks of company visit. It is to identify the problems and to brainstorm on the implementation the method for relay out the lab. Second method is using Kaizen cycle with each PDCA cycle plan, do, check and add. For plan is identify the problems and ways to overcome it. The do is applying the 5S method as the way of solution. Next for check is evaluate the result from the method that has been done. And last is add, which is decide whether the method effectiveness. Next method used is the implementation of 5S method. 5S stands for sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. For sort, it's to keep what is needed and remove what is unwanted. It uses red tag method. While for set in order, arranging of the necessary items, such as frequently used item, sometimes used item, or unused item. Why for shine is to focus on the clearness of on the workplace. Next is standardize is to ensure the continuous flow of three first process. For example, make it a schedule for continuous practice. And lastly is the sustain, which is to ensure the system long-term viability to improve it further, such as do the audit on the 5S process implementation, for the staff. Next is FYP analysis method. It used to identify on why need to roll out of the oil quality control lab. For the problem is the production late in proceed the packing process. Then asking on why the problem happened. First, why quality control lab late in sending the result to production. Second, why it taking a lot of time in getting the result. The third, why too much movement is involved in the quality control lab. And the fourth, why is not properly organized the equipment and apparatus following the order. For the suggestion solution of the problem is reorganize and relay out of all quality control lab. Last method used is spaghetti diagram. Spaghetti diagram used to do the observation of the movement of the worker in order to identify the unnecessary movement involved that can be reduced. The figure below shows the movement of the staff in doing their work. For the data collection, the total number of footsteps involved is 87 steps. For 48 steps from 87 steps are from receiving table to the quality control lab. The number of samples per day is about 6 or 7 samples that need to test. Okay, for the calculation, the number of steps per day is from 522 steps to 609 steps include for the all day. Now I proceed with the finding for the method implementation. First is 5S implementation. It's done by removing all unnecessary waste in the quality control lab. It is using the rectangle area, which is the method of sorting tin when it is not clear whether the item or equipment should be keep or to remove. It is prioritize the safety of the workers. The figure at the left side shows the condition before managing all waste to the rectangle area, and the result is shown on the figure on the right side. Okay, for the before as shown in the figure on the left side, the samples are not properly arranged and do not have good labeling. Some of the labels are fading due to oil leaking for the bottle and hardly recognize whether what type it is or it is already been expired. There are a risk of the bottle falling because not fully stacked before being arranged on the shelf. If the bottle containing the sample falls, the oil will leak and make the floor slippery and having the risk of falling. Then the result shown as the figure after which to reduce the risk of safety and time in finding the sample to be tested or collected. All the samples have been sorted and labeled by their date and type before being arranged on the shelf. The red circle in figure shows the pocket file that has been stick to the walls that contain all the information and data of the sample following the month. Next finding is unnecessary movement using spaghetti diagram. The figure below shows the movement of the staff after rearranged process. The result for observing the movement of the staff with spaghetti diagram is shown by the reduction of steps taken in finishing one sample from 87 steps into only 34 steps. The major losses of the steps come from placing the receiving table for the sample just outside the hot room lab. The other steps are reduced by rearranging the equipment and machine following their order. While for the calculation shows the step after which is reduced to below 300 steps per day than before which is over than 500 steps per day. Okay, on this slide shows the table of comparison of before and relay out process. For before, it takes a lot of time for transferring the sample, wasted time, many steps by the worker cause exhausted make he or she feel unmotivated. It exposed to danger if there any leaking oil, non-systematic work, the sample exposed uncontaminated because of lot of moving, difficult task because the worker is doing a various tasks in one time. And for the after, it saves time in transferring the sample. Fewer state, he or she will be more motivated and more focused on work. It has enhanced the safety of the worker, more systematic work, reduced in oil contaminated, and easily tasked with less movement. For the last one to conclude the finding is shown by the time taken. The time taken for finishing one sample is be reduced by 11.11% after removing all waste and re-layout the lab, due to remove the unnecessary and repetitive movement of the worker when doing their test. As the initial time to finish testing one sample is up to 90 minutes, has been reduced by 10 to 50 minutes. The reduction of the time taken to finish one sample is improving the work performance and efficiency with the increase of testing sample per day by 16.67%. Lastly, for the conclusion of the project, the objective of project have been successfully achieved. We each relay out the oil quality control lab. A lot of space, time and energy have been saved through the method implementation. The using of lean management has shown the result as it boosts the work performance of quality control worker with the increase of the number of sample tests per day, while the decreased processing time for getting the result of the tested sample enable the production line to proceed and start their work at the earliest. As uh, as recommendation to the company should add more one risk committee in the lab as it consumes more than half in processing time for one sample to be complete, which added one of it will double the total sample can be produced in a day by 100%. This is some reference list used for this slide, and it concludes my presentation for my final year project. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.